talk to you about powering up your life today. It's crazy, but I just have to start by saying stop wishing that your life would look differently when you have the power to change it. I'm sitting here right now in my house, and it's like I sit there and I think, like, I remember doing vision boards when I lived in Las Vegas. I remember living in Vancouver, Canada, and knowing that I didn't belong there, and felt like this pull to move to America. And like, have you ever had like a knowing when you were young? Like, it's like you knew you were supposed to do something, you knew you were supposed to live somewhere, you just knew it, like you just had this pull. I had that with America. Like, I knew that I was supposed to live in America even though I was Canadian. Like, I had no thoughts of limitations when I was a little girl. I just knew I was supposed to be there. And I call that a calling. And I think every single one of us has a calling. And we have these connection points in our life that we know that we're supposed to be doing something. We know that we're supposed to be living somewhere. We know that we're supposed to be up to something in our life, but yet we hesitate, or yet we stop in these moments of like, well, I'm not American, so I can't live in America. And we stop at all these limitations, and then we idolize, and we covet over other people's lives, because it's like, oh my gosh, I want my Instagram page to have 100,000 followers. Oh my gosh, I want to live on the beach in California. And it's just so mind-boggling to me how much we just don't believe in ourselves. It's mind-boggling. I don't know what happens to us. I mean, I have an idea, but like, truly, how do we go from dreaming when we're a kid, from seeing no limitations, to just the reality of what life looks like? Do you understand what I'm saying? It's like we shift this thought process where we go from like anything really is possible to this thought process of, well, that's not realistic. That's not logical, or we have to be logical about this. And I sit there and I go, where I live right now is so illogical. Like, it's so, INS told me that I would never get into America, or at least if I did, I'd be 60 years old. This is when I was like 20, 21, having this conversation, which 60 felt like that was the day you die. You know what I mean? Like, when you're little, it's like, you just feel like, yeah, that's not going to work. My life would be over. And it cracks me up because our perspective is so distorted. Like, it's so distorted so often. I woke up this morning and I really thought, I was like, God, like, what am I going to do next? What am I going to do next? What are you going to do next? And I'm thinking about like all the next generation of people who are exploding on the marketplace. Like Rachel Hollis, Girl Wash Your Face, and all like the new people who are exploding on the market. And I sit there and I go, and then there's like all these Instagram, fans that aren't exploding, let's say, on New York Times bestseller, but they're exploding on Instagram. Like Shalene Johnson has 500,000 followers on Instagram, but yet, she's not really like, doesn't have the same like celebrity status as some of the New York Times bestsellers. And then you've got people who go on Oprah, like Sarah Blakely, and all of a sudden Spanx explodes. And I think about all these moments. And when I talk to my friends who have hit these different levels of success, they all say things like, well, there was a little bit of luck involved. And it's interesting because I've digested that thought a lot. And I think what they're saying is there's a little bit of God involved, or a lot of God involved, because it takes these moments, and I think they happen to you all the time, by the way. I think they happen to you all. I think that there are moments that could be expanded in your life all the time. You meet somebody that's amazing, or somebody brings up an idea to you and you feel that leap in your spirit that you're like, oh yeah, that's what I should be doing, or oh yeah, that's what's next. But then like you squish yourself down right back into that box and you say, no, you can't do that yet. It's not logical. It's not reality. Look at your bank account. Look at your relationship with all the guys you hung out with, or the women that you dated before. Like, look at your parents. There's no way that you can have a relationship like that. They don't exist. It's just like, it's unbelievable to me It's unbelievable to me how much we repeat this reality conversation of what's real and what's not. And here's the truth. We have evidence all the time of people exploding onto the playing field in all these different areas. We see people that we're so inspired by that have no legs, that do the Ironman, or that have like no use of their limbs, and they're motivational speakers. And you just stop and you have to say, like, what are you doing with your life? Are you meant for something bigger? And did you either not humble yourself to take an opportunity? I look at I look at some of the people that have mentored or volunteered in some of like, even like Make-A-Wish Foundation, or different, worked with different mentors, and just really kind of threw themselves at like the mentor, and gave themselves, like, as far as volunteered and things like that. And then they learn all this stuff, like, as like almost like a free education. They learn all this stuff for like blood, sweat, and tears. And then they go off and they create something magical with it in the world. And I just think to myself, I just like, what could we be doing more of? Like, not necessarily like packing your life with more work, but what if we could exchange work for passion, for calling? What if we could really find the thing that lights us up, and we could humble ourselves to that purpose in a way so much so that we could really throw our whole body into it? Like, I don't think that many people wake up and say, oh yeah, this is my passion, and there's going to be no hard work with it. Like, I look at the best marriages that I know, and there's always this season of like challenge, this season of working through things. I look at these great businesses, and there's always this season. And so it's like, what season are you in? And are you going all the way? Like, I hate to put this there, but like, actually, I'm just going to unhook. Just because I say it doesn't mean it's going to happen, because that's why I don't want to say it. But it's like, what if you had a heart attack today and it was done? Or the heart attack really changed your life. I mean, it could happen. It could happen at 20. It could happen at 40. It could happen at 30. Like, it could definitely happen. And so if that was you today, if that was really like, just, I know you've probably heard things like this before, but just stop for a second. Like, if that was you today, have you done what you are called to do? Have you done, like, forget about the desire to live more for a second. Just like, have you done what you were called to do at this point? Have you created the relationship? Have you had a child, right? Have you created the relationship you want? Or are you still waiting for someone to change? Have you created the business? Have you created the impact you want? Have you created the lifestyle you want? Have you contributed to society on the level that you're capable of? I'm just trying to tap inside your life right now and say, hey, that heart attack could happen anytime. And I'm not trying to bring anybody down. I'm trying to wake you up. I'm trying to wake me up. Every day, and I'm not kidding you, every day I have a moment of thinking, wow, like either extraordinary gratitude, which is the best, it's the best, or looking at pictures. Facebook has this amazing way of putting up pictures for us that we can see what we looked like 4 years ago. And it's crazy because I remember 4 years ago thinking that I could have been a little bit more fit, that I could have had a little bit more impact in the world. And then it's like, I look at myself, I'm like, wow, I looked really good. Have you ever had that experience yourself? You like look back at yourself 4 years ago, I looked really good. My skin was great. I had just had a baby. I was super excited about life. Like, but how much of that moment did you miss? How much of that moment in your life did you miss? because you were complaining about something or not optimizing an opportunity that was in your life. I mean, just think about that for a second. Because if you don't think about it and you don't unpack how you missed that opportunity or how you held yourself back or what thought pattern got in the way, and then your life progressed and got here, came to this moment, it's like just stop and just go, like, what pattern created that? Because you're crazy if you don't think you're running the same patterns you are. Even though it might look a little different, maybe friends, maybe you live in a house, maybe you live in the same house, maybe you've traveled a little bit and had some experiences in life, but it's like you're running the same patterns until you don't. Here's my message today. You have the power. You have the power to create whatever life you want. And what we got to do is we got to start changing our relationship with work. We have to stop changing our relationship with work. Like, I even just think here, I'm just going to take you outside with me for a second. But it's like, I just think here and I'm like, this incredible patio that I'm standing on right now. It's a little overcast today. But it's like, I sit here and I'm like, oh, look, there's no place to sit there right now. Well, it's taken me a year to find patio furniture because it wasn't a priority. And now I have some coming next week, and I can't wait to show you. This house that I have, that we built, this house with this great, you can't really tell because it's with this great view of the ocean, which when it's not overcast, it's just absolutely gorgeous. So you sit here and go, this was a vision at 25. At 25, and I never let it go. I never let the vision go at 25. So I know that you're wishing for something. You're wishing for something. You're wishing for something. And I want you to stop wishing, and I want you to just back a plan into it. Like, I knew that in order for me to buy a house, it would cost a certain amount of money to get the house. And so I have a client right now that I'm literally encouraging to go meet with a lender. I mean, I think the market's going to soften significantly. There's a great opportunity for anybody who doesn't want to work their way into financial freedom and they want to invest their way to look like you can leverage your growth and go like, okay, what would it cost me to get into a property that I want when the market comes down in the next year or two, right? And start working towards that. Have a bigger reason for saving money. Have a bigger reason for growing a business. Have a bigger reason than just wanting to make money. Have a bigger reason. Have a bigger reason for it. Because I believe that most of us don't even really know why we have a calling to do certain things. I really believe that. I didn't know why I had a calling to speak on stages. All I knew is I didn't want to do it. And look at what I do today. I just added 13 new events yesterday to this year. So I have 19 more events between now and the end of the year that are actually events for the public that don't know me. I don't know how many events that are fulfillment events, but there's a lot. There's probably 25 more, but maybe even 30 more throughout the year. I mean, that is not a lifestyle of a girl that was afraid to speak on stages or just didn't want to. So I know that there's things you don't want to do, but I'm telling you, those are the ones that you should crack that door open and just start playing your life. Like, the things I don't want to do, I'm going to do. I'm going to do it with a good attitude. And watch how quickly the evolution of your life starts to expand. If you want that supernatural growth in your life or in your marriage or anything, look at the area that you don't want to do. It's like these hidden doors to advanced growth. It's like these hidden doors to huge opportunity. It's like these quantum leaps that we all want. So if you knew how to get there, you would already be there. It's in the doors of the areas that you don't want to. It's in the areas that you think you know better. Like, I know better. I love it when people say, I don't really want to do personal development to grow my business because I already do that all the time and I already know the stuff. I can teach it. Yeah, that's why you don't have what you want. I would never study from somebody who said that I won't do this because I already know it. Like, I would never do that because it's like, that is an ego. and an ego will take you out all day long. You want to, like I say this to all my clients, especially as they start having wild financial success, because what happens is they start losing their humility and they think they know. And I think that, online, being able to do these lives, after you start doing these lives more, you get a self-inflated belief system of how great you are. Now, you are great, but you got to stay humble. You got to stay humble. I still feel like I'm 21 years old and I know nothing. I still feel that way. And I love that I feel that way. And sometimes I don't love that I feel that way, because it's painful at moments when it's like, come on, Shanda, like, you got something to say, go. I'm no different. But I did get the house on the ocean. I did get my husband. I did get, the baby, and I'm working on the next baby. And I just learned that giving up is not an option. And so, how many people write me and say, maybe you should give up on having the other baby because you've been trying for 2 years. Maybe you should adopt. That was my story. And I know they're trying to help, but it's like, you got to shut out those voices, because it's like, I'm collecting evidence of all the women that are older than me, that had 3 years of miscarriages, that had 10 miscarriages. I'm collecting evidence that it will work, but the world will give you evidence that it won't, and they're still trying to help. So I'm saying to you, you got to learn how to manage your own mind, and you got to learn how to keep yourself humble, but you got to literally say it's going to take work to create anything you want. And whether or not it takes you 2 years to create the result that you want, or it takes you 5, who cares? It took me a long time to get my house on the ocean. And honestly, now I want to get right down on the ocean. And so it's just one next stretch and one next stretch and one next stretch. And I think that's what pulls us forward to create our results. So instead of walking through your journey of creating whatever result you want, what if you could actually realize that part of the conditioning, part of training for the marathon is actually the best part. Part of, it's training for the marathon that actually is the best part. It's the community with your friends that you run with. It's the community with your friends that you build with. But if you are messed up in your head and you are grumpy about the journey and you just want to get there, then I am sorry. I am sorry, but you will probably quit. Because that's not what it's about. Because soon as you run that next race and you complete that next finish line, you're going to have another thing that you put up. And if you constantly don't enjoy the work in getting there and you don't change your relationship with that, you will quit more things than you will ever finish. And then you under-optimize your life. And then you die with regrets. So it's up to you. The message of today is you do have the power. So stop wishing that your life looked different, and you have the power to change it. All right, you guys, this is the last Coffee with Shanda this month. I will be back the beginning of next month because I am off for Flex Week next week. And I just wish you so much love. Please share this Coffee with Shanda or tag somebody that needs to hear it. And I look forward to seeing you back online after next week. All right, you guys, I'll talk to you soon. Bye.